Hey everyone, Rita Zamora here. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about SEO and social media for dentistry. So I'm very happy and excited to introduce you to my guest here in just a moment. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button so you can get updates anytime I have a new awesome social media video update for you. So I'm really excited to introduce you to my good friend and also Colorado neighbor. Jeff, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about what you do and your expertise.
Oh, hi, Rita. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We've worked with dentists for it's been about 14 years now. My background was in building content management systems. So we tried to build this sort of dental websites as a service system. And that's what Great Dental Websites became. About 900 clients. I've worked with all eight of my dental family members at one time or another, which is how I got roped into this business. And we help, I think, about 250 or so practices every month manage their search engine optimization efforts online.
Oh, that's awesome. So Jeff, you've been my go-to referral for websites and for all things SEO and Google, and been a great resource for me and my team over the years. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah. So you were the first person I thought of when I said we need to have an SEO meeting, SEO and social media, because people often ask me about that. And I'm like, that's a different art and science. So I wanted to start off by talking, first of all, about Google My Business and what the benefits of having content on Google My Business are. A lot of practices don't know that you can even post content there. So you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, the posts are what Google calls, or they're kind of like their little snippets that you can share. And they don't stay around for a long time. I think they last about a week, but you can still look them all up historically. But especially during COVID, people have been using GMB a lot more to figure out if people are open. They've added a bunch of new options that we can talk about too. It's more related to COVID if you want to get into that. But it is kind of becoming a sort of like more casual de facto social media system. And it's not like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter where people are, on their phone for hours scrolling, but they do go there when it's time to make a buying decision or they want to make up or look up research to make a call or something. So as it pertains to businesses, it's still very valuable, even if people aren't spending as much time on that social media channel as they are other places. So I think it's important to post, the equivalent of, the social media content you're putting on Facebook or Twitter on the GMB, because people are going to see it when they're looking for a dentist and ready to book. So that they'll have a good opportunity to see your most recent stuff.
Mm-hmm. So for Google My Business, and for people who aren't familiar with that, it's where your map and reviews live. So I think it's one of your most important pieces of online real estate, if you will. Posting content there, you said like every 7 days, because after 7 days then it gets archived, and then it's probably a great additional piece of real estate that you get for new patients that are looking for you, or even existing patients that are looking to contact you. Is that right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think 7 days is exactly how long it hangs out on the carousel. There's a way you can look up the old post, but I think a few people are going to do that. But just having your best foot put forward, and you mentioned the reviews, and there's also pictures and lots of other links for online booking and even COVID-19 health warnings now that you can put on there. A lot of people will check those hours just to make sure that you're still in business or that you're open, because that's not a given these days. We're used to just look, oh, they're open. Like now people really want to make sure, and they're either going to make sure by calling you, or if you have some sort of notification there to tell them like, yes, we're on the ball. We have updated our listing. Here's our COVID-19 information. You have a date on that. People will realize that you're still in business. You're operating under these conditions or these new times or these new procedures, and they'll take it a little bit more seriously as it's something that looks like it hasn't been updated in a couple of years.
Okay, so particularly with everything that we're dealing with COVID, practices should go in there and update it and make sure all their info is current. And is there anything else related to COVID that they should be looking at when it comes to the GMBs?
I know that they added a new link for telehealth information. information. And I know a lot of practices that we worked with during the last couple of months have added telehealth as an option, and some have kept it up even as we've moved back into, we're seeing patients in person again. So Google has historically given you more points, so to speak, and better visibility if you fill out more of your information on Google My Business. So it stands to reason that they're applying the same methodology and thinking to these new links for COVID-19 and telehealth and online appointment booking and stuff that they've added recently. So I would fill everything out that you can on there. And for the same social signals to people that I mentioned before, you want them to know that you've actually taken COVID-19 into account. And whatever you do, don't just link to like the ADA's warning on COVID or like the WHO or the CDC. I see people do that. They've completely missed the point of what that link is for. That's supposed to go back to your website for what you are doing for COVID-19, not some general purpose, information about COVID-19 from the CDC. We've all heard plenty about COVID-19 over the past couple of months. General population's got it. What you need to tell them is what your office is doing. Are you going to be meeting people out in the parking lot, having them sign in digitally? Are you doing any transactions with money, or are you strictly, sending them like Venmo requests or something similar? You've got to have this stuff listed on your COVID-19 page, not, this is a dangerous virus that can kill you, et cetera. They already know where to get that. But I see that mistake all the time. Practices just put a link to some third-party thing. That's not what Google wants you to do.
Oh, that's such a good tip, because I think sometimes people, because we're doing this all day long for our business and helping clients, we're always thinking about things like this. I see a lot of teams that have good intentions and they're posting links to this, that, and the other, and not really thinking about that opportunity that they have to drive traffic back to their website, or, be able to convert someone into a new patient if they're getting them back to their website in some way. So
yeah, that's what it's all about. The CDC and the ADA don't need traffic from your Google My Business. Send it to your website.
Okay, good. That's a great tip. So, and I did not know that about the teledentistry link. So that's really awesome. Good to know. And then what about photos? I kept hearing that there was like a magic number with the photos that you should make sure that you have on your GMB.
I don't know if there's a magic number, and Google doesn't list that information. I mean, the more the merrier. We're trying to throw up as many as we can. So good photos to list are, any pictures of the office, especially if the office looks nice. Pictures of your team. You can show before and after cases, but show the before and the after on the same picture, so they don't, you don't lose track of them or they get jumbled, or people just don't see like a gross mouth out of context with like, it'll freak people out. And then, if you're doing any team building activities or training, some of your patients may start submitting images too to the GMB, but as many as you can in there. And one tip, when you're taking pictures of the office, a lot of times people hire like real estate photographers and people who are like, taking pictures of businesses or homes to put on sale. And their tendency is to just take everybody out of the picture. But that's to sell the building. You're not selling your real estate. You're selling you and your team and the office environment and the services and procedures. And the people are primary to this. So keep the people in the pictures. It's hard to show smiling now since everybody's wearing masks, but you can wave. You can see a little bit of a smile in the eyes a little bit. Make sure that you're still showing pictures and people in the pictures. And even during COVID, although it's not quite as inviting as seeing someone like happy and like, about to give you a hug or something, which is probably illegal now, it still does. I think it was like the last stats we got were like 38% of patients, their primary concern was like verifying that you were going to take their health seriously. And I think economic was like the other big one. But for the health concerns, it's like, look, we're all wrapped up. Your health is safe here. All the other patients are here. Everything's segregated. And like, although that's not the new patient experience we would have shown people, 8 months ago, that is what will get people to move now. And will allay that concern that a huge chunk of your patients have when they're deciding, should I put this treatment off for another few months, or is it safe to do it now? So it's anything you can do to reassure patients, and visually with pictures, I think is a good one, that you guys are taking their health seriously. We've had people put up, especially on their COVID-19 page on their website, this is what the new patient experience is these days. and do a video kind of like point of view where it's like, okay, you pull up in your office, Cynthia comes out with a clipboard. Great. Steve comes out and grabs you. You come in the emergency exit. You don't talk to anybody else. You do any payment in the room. You leave. You don't see any other patients. You don't see any other staff besides the ones you have to. But for some people, they really want to be reassured that that's what's going to happen because they want to minimize their exposure to other people.
Yeah, that's so good. I'm glad that we're just, talking about this right now, because I think sometimes the practices have now, they're starting to get in the flow with this new phase that we're in. And they're like, oh, we're totally, fine and comfortable with this new process. But some of the patients are not. In fact, there was a recent conversation in my neighborhood Facebook group where a patient said, I need to find a new dentist because I left during the middle of my appointment. My previous dentist wasn't taking the precautions seriously. They had actually overheard some of the conversations from the team members and said that they felt that they weren't interviewing the patients about their travel history correctly. Yeah. So, I mean, this woman, she was pregnant and she was just, particularly on high alert about this, and a bunch of the other neighbors were chiming in and saying, here's what my practice is doing. Here's what my practice is doing. And I was like, wow, these people are really paying attention to the different protocols. So.
Oh, and moms, want to help each other, especially new moms. And I watched my wife go through this both on the receiving end, especially with our first child, where, there's a lot of stress and concern and anxiety for new parents and really any soon-to-be parents, whether it's the first time or the second time. And moms, it becomes this sort of, I don't want to say religion, but they really want to help each other find solutions. And there's tons of like practices that get shared on moms groups on Facebook. And I live down in Stapleton, or Central Park as it's now called, in Denver. And there's always people looking for a new dentist or a new vet or a new pediatrician. And so in that case, like, just make it easy for the moms that love you to share your information. Give them a COVID-19 page and have it ever present. Like, we usually put it at the top of a website, and usually with a red background. And so somebody just go to your website, click that, they get taken to the COVID-19 page, and then they can share that. And imagine them sharing a video like, well, this for somebody who's a little nervous. They want to know what kind of experience they get. Show them a video where it is the experience that they're going to get. They don't have to imagine. They can live it. Through a video, and make it easy to share on social media, and you'll start to get some referrals like that.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I love that input. And Jeff, just so people know that are watching, do you offer some services to help with the video still? Is that something that you guys do?
Yeah, we work with a third-party company that has videographers all over the country, really. Okay. Australia and New Zealand too, and they've been great. I think they did free video editing for people during COVID-19. We had a bunch of clients that took advantage of that. My brother did it. So it's try everything on your family first. But we've been working with them for a couple of years. They're great. They're getting better and better with dentistry. So they produce some fantastic videos like that for our clients.
Okay, great. So they should make sure they have a COVID update on their website, some video. Good. And then we talked about links a little bit, but I wanted to talk to you more about links when it comes to social media, blog links in particular. And I'm not really sure if social signals is even the right word, but oftentimes people want to know what is the benefit other than driving traffic back to the website, which is really valuable. But tell me all things about blog links and social media and SEO.
Yeah, so I mean, if Google they still use PageRank. So and essentially what PageRank, that was Google's secret sauce when they first came out. And it's gone through various revisions over the years, but the general theory that Google was founded upon was the more places that link back to you, the more important you are. And then the more important you are, links from that website are more important. So the New York Times, something on the White House or Congress's website would be some sort of official proclamation. New York Times is important, news publication. Those would be more valuable than, jeffgladnick.com linking to you, which is just, some guy's opinion. And Facebook is kind of the same way. This isn't a super valuable place, but it still is another signal. Think of it as like a vote to Google that this is important, but it's not a very powerful one. But if you're posting regularly on there, if you're and the post gets a little bit of traction. Sometimes social media posts show up in search results. They can get linked to from other people. Google is looking at that and taking this into account one way or the other, even if it's just you're getting a lot of traffic from Facebook, at least organic traffic. So I don't think you have anything to lose, and at least it's casting another line out there, trying to find new patients, and it should help with conversions. And I think did you say, were you saying, what sort of content would you recommend people are sharing on there from their website?
Yeah, well, and I was going to ask you also, like, if it's a really good blog post, hopefully they're all really good blog posts, but if it's one in particular that you really wanted to promote, maybe it was about, your COVID updates or whatever. And if you boost, would it be then good to boost that post on Facebook to get it, greater visibility? I mean, is that
I don't know. I don't think that would help SEO. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that traffic is viewed differently.
Okay.
And if that comes off as organic or it now becomes paid,
Okay.
maybe that answer for boosting. But that I would look at the decision whether or not to boost is purely a conversion one. Either this is getting a lot of engagement and it's delivering people that are becoming patients and clicking contact, or it's not.
Okay.
I wouldn't look at it in terms of SEO value.
Okay, so we're always going to get the benefit of driving traffic back to the website. I mean, that's always a good thing. Okay, good. And then just from an overall SEO benefit, it's negligible, would you say, or just...
I'd say every little bit helps.
Okay.
Negligible sounds like don't do it. So I would advise them to do it. And just cutting, if you went to the trouble to write a blog post and put on your website, just cut and paste that thing onto your Facebook page.
Okay.
Takes a second.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm always, I'm biased.
Or better yet,
in my
schedule
opinion.
it through, through a tool. You have a good tool that a lot of our clients use. So it's, what would you advise them to? Would they do a little curating there, to get down to the better quality ones, or is more better?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we love anytime that we can send patients back to the website, we're all for it. I think the things that we look out for are the image, to make sure that the image shows up, that it's engaging and it's going to catch people's eyes. That's really important, because sometimes you can paste the blog link in there and it's like some terrible, I'm sure you know what the code is behind this, but you put it in there and it just populates really poorly. So we're always looking at making sure that the headline and the summary, the text that we put in there is good, and then the image. So.
Yeah, we're usually struggling to get clients to engage in there and get some content up, and so sometimes we're just happy to take what they gave, if they gave anything. But you're right. I mean, having them pick out more, in a more conscious fashion, the pictures, especially if they're custom pictures, and not just like, look, an animated tooth. It's like, great. We all know what that looks like. That's always preferable, and I would imagine helps with the conversion rate and click-through.
Yeah, and if it's a crummy picture, sometimes, we'll have pictures that are not ideal, and I like to replace them with pictures of the team, like you said, because that's going to get more attention.
At least customized.
So, yeah. Okay, good. Well, that really helps me. And then I did want to also ask you, because you always have these great, like, what's the current SEO, or, what tip would you give? And did I say SEO, search engine optimization, for people that don't know what SEO is yet? Because sometimes people don't know. They're like, what is that? So
I guess, especially as it pertains to Google My Business, you want make sure there's new sections in there, like we mentioned, telehealth, COVID-19 pages, fill those all out. If you're doing online booking, which a lot of people have added recently, put that link in too. If you're not, send it to your contact page. Cheating a little bit, but a lot of people have, schedule appointment form requests, so it's still kind of online. So that still fulfills their obligations. If you're using revised hours, there is a COVID hours section. So don't update your regular hours unless you're planning on permanently changing this. You just made a decision. And I think probably a few people have really made any permanent decisions about anything lately. But use the COVID hours section. That's what Google wants you to do. Again, filling out all these signals on Google My Business will tell patients looking at it that you're relevant and paying attention, and you're on the ball, and that you haven't just done nothing or changed nothing since March. So those are all positive things you can do with Google. I think that'll help your conversion rate for patients who find you when they're looking for a dentist.
Okay. Awesome. Well, and you're still highly recommending social media for your clients, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's that always helps. People are just at home spending even more time on Facebook.
Yeah.
So that's a great outlet since, I mean, billboards, I would take the money right out of billboards. Nobody's driving. Take the money out of radio. I mean, the only time I ever listen to the radio is in the car, and I barely listen to the radio in the car. I usually listen to podcasts. So I think that if anything, it's pushing people onto social media even more. And so that's a great place to spend your time and effort for your practice, because that's where you're going to find eyeballs right now.
Yeah, as long as we're, in this staying at home, phase that we're in, I totally agree. We had a boost of like 30% increase in social media usage for the stay at home orders, but I think it's remained high, and especially now as the weather's getting colder for those of us that are up here in North America. And anyhow, all right, Jeff. Well, how can people reach you if they want to get in touch with you about a website, brand new or enhancement or SEO questions? Where's the best place to get a hold
Just
of
go to
you?
greatdentalwebsites.com and just fill out the contact form or give us a call if you want to talk to me. I'm Jeff at greatdentalwebsites.com. Or if you call the main number, just ask to be transferred to me, and somebody will send me over if I'm free.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. I know you're really busy, you and your team right now, just, trying to help everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, always good to talk to you, Rita. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much. And for everyone watching, please remember to subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more great interviews and some awesome updated information about social media. Thanks for watching.
See ya.